Hey guys, Saxdo26 here, and even with Mega Man 4, I still have some extra content I want to cover. In this playthrough, we've been looking at the Complete Works release for the PlayStation, which came out just around the 12th anniversary of the first Mega Man game. But it's far from the most accessible way to play this game, especially considering it only came out in Japan. Well, until 2011, when Rockman 1 through 4 all ended up on the American and Japanese PlayStation Store. No idea what happened with 5 and 6. Most people will have instead played the 15th Anniversary Collection, which featured Mega Man 1 through 8 and retained Navi mode for the first 6 games, as well as the remixed soundtracks. However, in spite of carrying across Navi mode, it does lose a couple of functionality, such as the database. Nowadays though, most people will be playing these games through the Legacy Collection, which actually adds the database back in for Mega Man 1 through 8 across the 2 releases. These collections helped breathe life back into the franchise in the lead up to its 30th anniversary. In spite of the fact that the menus use the arranged soundtrack from Mega Man 1 through 6, you cannot actually play with it in-game. As much as I do love the Legacy Collection, I do feel Complete Works is the definitive way to play Mega Man 4 through 6, because it includes the database, Navi mode, and the arranged soundtrack. Granted, all that content does come with a catch. You have to unlock all of it! I'm not even kidding.
Oops. Why?
So last part, by beating the game, we unlocked mission mode, but everything else in Complete Works is dependent on how many enemies you kill and having to run through the game multiple times.
Oh. Yeah. Ugh.
So the more times you kill bosses and enemies, the more information you get added to the database that, again, in Legacy Collection, is unlocked from the start. And the more enemies you kill, the more equipable accessories you have that you can use in-game. Oh yeah, and Pocket Station was a thing. Just in case people were curious, Pocket Station was a thing.
It's a Tamagotchi Mega Man.
Yeah, basically. Which means it had just as much use where you play it for 5 minutes and forget about it.
Pretty much. The only thing it really changes in-game is that if you use the Tamagotchi with bosses from this game, you can power them up in-game to increase the difficulty. But the main thing we need to focus on is beating the game on what's known as Easy Mode and Normal Mode in both Original and Navigator. So again...
Oh, no.
Original Mode changes all the HUD back to normal, but it changes the enemy layouts ever so slightly.
The fact you have to do 4 playthroughs of this is stupid.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
But on the upside, Easy Mode makes bosses do half as much damage, and the crowded areas that are littered with enemies are now completely empty. So this area we went through in Dustman's stage has no enemies, and half of the mini-bosses actually disappear.
Oh my god.
Yeah, take that ring.
They call it Easy Mode for a reason.
Well, I can understand now why it took you so long to get this,
Yeah.
get Mega Man 4 out.
I imagine after this you were sick of the game.
Because of the way the soundtrack is integrated into the game, it means that in the same way the CD soundtrack loops, so does the NES one. And the NES soundtrack isn't interrupted by the game's in-game sound effects.
So it's basically like the NES soundtrack just on a CD.
Correct. It's pretty neat.
Which technically is actually what this is, so that was literal.
Oh yeah. Also, Speedy Go credits.
That's stupid.
Yeah, so...
Ironically, this song works great when you speed it up.
Absolutely. So that's what Easy Mode looks like, and now you've got a bit of a comparison of how the game changes from Original. And every time we clear a version of the game on a difficulty, we unlock different illustrations in the database. Now we gotta do the difficulties we didn't use on the modes that we didn't use them for. So now I have to go back again and do Navi mode on easy and original mode on normal. But thankfully, the main things I needed to be unlocking are just a completed run of the game, which means if I use the furthest password to go straight to Cossack Citadel, I can literally skip straight from here and just fight the bosses.
Okay, cosmetic difference. Whoop.
Yeah. If you hold R2 before you select what mode you're playing, you can play as Mega Man without his helmet on.
They're totally worth a second playthrough.
Because a lot of backgrounds have black, he blends in very easily. Just illustrating, yes. Credits are for the most part identical. And yet again, we unlock an illustration for each. And another difficulty! Hard mode!
Yeah, fifth playthrough.
Yes! Do the 5th playthrough. Do you unlock anything after that? Ugh.
Now we have
Here's
to do the
expert
same
mode,
thing
6th
on
playthrough.
hard mode! And by same thing, I mean 2 more playthroughs. 1 for original, 1 for Navi mode.
No!
Now why is that hard mode? Because in hard mode, every pickup in the entire game disappears.
Oh my god.
This goes for E-tanks, extra lives, weapon energy, and you know what the worst part is?
You put Eddie out of a job?
On top of all of that is, it means we lose Eddie as well.
You put Eddie... Eddie's out of a job. He has to go on unemployment now, man.
We ran out of funds. This is why we can't afford to buy items for Mega Man. We also can't afford Eddie.
So that means you've got to get to the boss rush with no E-tanks and no additional extra lives. But again, because enemies don't drop pickups, that means between each boss, you don't get a health refill.
I hope you're good at fighting bosses.
So I had to do that on original and Navi mode. That was painful.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should play the hard mode of this. It's just not a fun mode.
On the upside, when I did it in original, it meant I could set my lives to 9 every time I ran this game. By this point, I've now killed enough enemies that I can show off the extra equipment that we unlock in Dr. Light's lab, which means I can now start mission mode. Which, you might recognize the idea of this from Legacy Collection, but with a twist.
For one, you don't need an amiibo, thank God.
Yes. So the equipment is what is used in that silly radar thing at the top of the screen. I can equip 2 at a time, and because there are 4 missions, it means I can show off all 8. So at the moment I'm using Power Shot and Hyper Shot, which makes my Buster Shots run twice as fast, and my regular Buster Shots do a half-charged shot's worth of damage, meaning a fully charged shot will do twice as much. And once again, Rush Jet is not my friend. The annoying thing with this equipment is you can only use it in Navi mode, but thankfully you have the option to run mission mode with the equipment, because it is only a Navi mode setup. Meaning that you can use this equipment to make it much easier. And I would strongly advise doing so, because as you see going on to missions 3 and 4, you're gonna need it.
You're gonna need them.
By this point, I've played the game enough that I'm getting very fast with the quick select on the weapons, so I don't even end up pausing for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You know, my 6 playthroughs in a row and you start memorizing every little detail. You kind of have to.
Like the fact that Dust Crusher gets a lot of multi-hits if you can actually have the shrapnel hit Metal Daddy right next to him. The damage output is much quicker than the Buster. But it does mean, compared to the first time I ran this stage, it is much easier.
Man, I can't imagine watching the perfect run of this game.
And if anyone asks, no, I'm not doing this again for 5 and 6. Only the once.
Here's all your extras. Loads up Legacy Collection. You think I'm gonna play this game 6 times?
So, the way that mission mode works is you have to do each mission concurrently. Mission 2 will only show up once you clear mission 1. And the aim of mission 2, clear the second stage of Wily Castle in 3 minutes. Which is much easier with Hyper Jump and Super Speed.
Yeah, that super speed isn't kidding, because Mega Man on turbo mode.
Oh yeah. And the other cool thing is, again, because mission mode has a dedicated menu icon, it means that I can play it with the helmet off as well. But let's just say I'm going to make this level look like an absolute cakewalk, because I don't even need to use the balloon adapter.
The fact that you have that extra height with a jump kind of breaks it a bit. You can tell that this kind of game was not designed with these power-ups in mind.
But it does make it fun, that's for sure. Now I just love showing off how broken Ring Boomerang is.
Yeah, this is basically the middle blades of this game. It does a lot of damage. It uses little to no weapon energy. It's good.
I always used to think the dive missile was the broken one, but not Ring Boomerang. Also, this is a puzzle.
Did.
Doing the robot wheelies.
Pretty much. I am, like, compared to the first run of this stage, the level of rhythm I have regained with this stage is nuts. Except for that. That was a little bit
You've already
you should have landed in front of them and then jumped. Also, I can see what you're talking about with the hair blending in the background. Now it just looks like Mega Man is just bald.
Yeah.
So now to show why Ring Boomerang is so good. Because it's fast, it doesn't use much energy, and it racks up fast successive hits on the burst so quickly.
Yeah, the only downside is its pitiful range, but if you manage to work past that, it's not that bad.
Considering it helps you clear a Wily stage in less than 2 minutes, I mean, yes please.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, third mission. Rescue Kalinka in 3 minutes. In other words, do Cossack Citadel Stage 4 in 3 minutes. And I'm going in with the Buster Fast Charge and the Energy Saver, which is going to double the number of uses I get out of my weapons.
This is a thing they kind of introduced in later games as like a power you can buy in the shops, so this is nothing foreign to the series at least, compared to the other power.
Absolutely. It works wonders here, and like, it changes up Mega Man 4 quite drastically, and when they say hyperspeed charge, they mean freaking instantaneous.
Yeah, I might as well at this point just make a power that's just Insta-Buster, because that's basically what this is. Instant charge
Pretty
shot.
much. And again, they're giving me the freedom of 3 minutes to go through this, so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take this path because I would rather have the E-Tank on this route than the extra life on the other one.
I think it's also faster too, so it's good for speed strats.
The one thing that I think makes Hypercharge the best thing to go into this stage with is because it is Cossack's weakness for the boss fight, it just makes the fight go so much quicker. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a speed run.
Pretty much. And I've still got half of my time left to beat him, so it's like, yep, absolutely.
You have to be worried about the damage output, really, because you only have the one life for this, and if you fail, you gotta do it again.
Yeah. And it does mean the only real obstacle I've got to deal with is mostly just making sure I'm ducking enough and making sure I don't get hit too much by Cossack's shots. And boom! There we go, mission 3 done. Oh yeah, but that's right, this stage has a cutscene to it, so I guess that means I need to sit through all of the dialogue in mission mode even though I've technically already finished the mission, and I guess this entire thing is part of the end of this mission.
Why couldn't they just cut this out? Why?
I mean, I could have, but...
That doesn't make any sense.
That feels like a weird thing. It's like, we don't want to tamper with the code too much and break something, so we're just gonna leave it all in.
And yes, mission mode 4. 8-minute boss rush. And what am I going in with? auto charge for the Mega Buster with a hyper charge shot, which makes the charge shot basically cross the screen in less than a minute. And the only Robot Master you're going to actually see me fight is the first one and the last one, because they expect you to do this in 8 minutes on 1 life.
Yeah, at least this time you have drops compared to playing on hard mode.
Yeah.
Imagine doing this as a challenge and having no health drops. Ugh. Oh.
Exactly. If anyone says, why didn't I cut this out? I'm showing off the equipment. I equipped the equipment, I'm gonna show the equipment. Dr. Wily. Sorry, Dr. Lat made this equipment for me. We must recover the energy immediately.
To get the energy resources.
The energy resources. Okay, now for the montage.
Speedy boss time.
Oh, Toadman, we love you, but no.
Even worse when you have this extra equipment.
Pretty much.
I know you were doing this in a combination to show off the best styles. I feel like this one, for a boss rush, I feel like it'd be super broken if you had like the power from the previous level and then the hypercharge shot, where you just have insta-charge to hypercharge.
Yeah.
I feel like that would just break Toadman.
You just reminded me of probably the most important thing with this stage. You've got to do it with the Buster only. They don't give you any Robot Master weapons. At all.
Hope you learn how to fight these guys Buster only.
You should be able to beat them with Buster.
Pretty much, because if you haven't, it's gonna kick you in the teeth very quickly. Now probably my best run against Ringman, and it's at double speed.
Just play this part back in 0.5 speed, you'll see the real gaming moments.
But of course, that means there is one Robot Master I have not attempted to fight with the Buster, which means it only seems fitting that I at least keep his run in. Because he was, honestly, the make or break for these runs for me, so I always consciously did him last.
Yeah, I can see why. Because he is a very sporadic attacker, and that does not help when you're Buster only.
Correct. And it is a very different experience fighting Pharaoh Man with the Mega Buster as opposed to the Flash Stopper.
Yeah, this is actually one of the bosses that's one of the easiest in the game with his weakness, and without it, he's one of the hardest.
Yeah.
And bing! There we go! With that, mission mode is cleared. That unlocks the sound test for both original and Navi mode, and with that, that should mean that my entire database has now been completely filled. But I forgot something incredibly crucial. To complete the database, I have to kill every enemy 20 times and every boss 10 times, so I had to do one more run of the dang game.
Why? Who's the genius that thought that was a smart move?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. Just... Oh my gosh.
Which means there are some enemies in my database that I have maxed out the battle data counter of because I've killed 99 of them.
That is the most asinine way to add something to your collection. Imagine in Pokemon, when you run into your Rattata, you scanned it once with your Pokedex, and then it just came back saying, "That's cute, now scan 19 more please." I won't tell you where to find them until then.
And annoyingly, because of the fact that I used the password to go straight to Cossack Citadel, surprisingly, the enemies that I needed to still get battle data on were obviously mini-bosses from Robot Master stages, but also the jellyfish enemies from Toadman stage, the flying enemies from Pharaoh Man stage, and the totem poles from Brightman stage. Because when I played easy mode, half of those enemies disappeared, meaning I didn't kill enough of them before I started abusing the full game password. And the reason I need to max out the database is because for each database you max out, you get an additional illustration for each one, so the game does not consider the save file 100% complete unless you max out those databases. And right here I'm showing the requirements for each one.
Buy Legacy Collection. Oh dear God.
This is why I'm so glad that it's already completed in Legacy Collection. And hilariously, the one you get for maxing out the boss database is the game telling you how to play with Mega Man without his helmet on.
Oh my god.
Which I already knew, so I had been doing it for half of the game anyway.
Thanks, you're a little late on that notice.
And here's the worst part. In Complete Works, you have to save the database, otherwise it won't save to the memory card. Don't forget, people. And so I'm feeling a bit vindictive.
What you're saying... Yeah, I would too. It's like what you're saying is that you can do hours upon hours of playing this game.
Correct.
Don't save because you don't realize that was a thing, and then lose all that hard work and have to do it all over again.
Correct. Alright, that's it.
I hate
I'm
Mega Man.
nuking the screen. Die, Wiley. Oh wow, that actually worked.
That's what you deserve.
Well, better fly out of here then. Oh yeah, and then the emulator crashed.
What a fitting way to end. Abby, excuse me. I need to burn everything Mega Man related.
Ended up being there 20 freaking times